Hi guys, I'm Sohail Anwar and I wanted to do an accompanying video for the project management and PMO templates that I'm sharing with all of you. Now, first of all, what is it that qualifies me to produce and share a project management or a PMO template? So, to give you a quick background on myself, I've spent the last 5 to 6 years working in PMO, Project Management Office. Prior to that, I was working as a business analyst, a project manager, and a management consultant. So along the course of my career, I was getting better and better at project management, and also I was getting very, very good at Excel. So this template is an Excel-based template, and while we are focusing on monitoring and logging the progress of a project, now I've developed this template over a number of years through trial and error, through getting feedback from all levels of stakeholders, as low as junior analysts, all the way up to managing directors and execs. So there are 2 ways to use this template. You can use it at a program level. So the program level sits above everything, and the components of that will become the projects. Or we can use it at a project level, where the components will become the milestones. So there are 3 aspects to this template. The first is commentary and status update in general. The second is a risks and issues register. And the third is a timeline view of our project or milestone. Now, the good thing about the timeline view is it gives a visual depiction, and we need to balance visual with text when we're doing this. Finally, the front page puts those 3 aspects together, and it combines everything into an overall status update. Now, as I mentioned, my area of expertise is Excel. Now, a lot of people might worry that this will involve some kind of complicated VBA programming, but it doesn't. It involves some interesting formulas. Now, if you're quite new to Excel, they will be a bit tricky. Now, what I have done is to put some links to some of the articles that I've written, or some small guides that will explain the mechanisms of the formulas and how they are doing what they are doing and why they're doing what they're doing. Now, I'm not trying to spark a discussion about PMO standards or project management ideals and the finer points of what we should be looking to capture, but know this, that this is a very minimalist template in terms of what it's capturing, and in my years and years of working in the banking industry, certainly I've noticed that we should try and be minimal in the information that we present to our stakeholders. The idea is that the information should spark a discussion, it should create a dialogue, it shouldn't overwhelm anybody. Now, some of you will use it as it is, and some of you will tweak it, but the key thing is just to learn from the template. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. My email address is sohail.s.anwar@gmail.com. That's my personal email address. I check it every day. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible, and I hope you find it useful. Thanks.
Okay, let's have a look at the template. So I've opened it up to the front page, which is the status update. It's looking a little bit empty, but that's fine. We will come back to this section. So there's 3 main sections we're going to cover. Let's have a look at the first one. So the first one is the risks and issues. And you can see it's a very basic register. So it's just a description of what it is, who owns it, whether it's a risk or an issue, when it was raised, and any kind of mitigating actions. Now, typically a lot of people will see things like a probability of a risk or an issue happening, all other kinds of metrics, but I steer away from those, especially in a risks and issues register, because when you distribute it or disseminate that and someone picks it up and they're not able to see the whole context behind it, it can easily be misconstrued. So, and it doesn't necessarily do justice to the project or the program manager in concern. So I like to keep it very minimal. Okay, let's have a look at the commentary tab. Now, this is where I have a list of the milestones or projects. Now, when I say milestones, as I mentioned in the introduction, if we're using this as a project report, then these will be milestones. If we're using it as a program report, then these will be the projects that sit under that. So I've got a list of all of the projects, and I've just kind of made up pretty absurd ones, and I've given them owners. Now, what I've put here is a current RAG and a previous RAG. So the previous RAG is whatever it was last time round we canvassed people for updates. And this is, of course, the current RAG. And what that does is, if you look at this column here, it drives this here. Now, this is called the trend, and it simply means it's simply a comparison of the last status to the current status. So in this case, we can see they're all neutral. This is what this formula does, and the formula is explained in the how the formulas worked out. In this case here, where the current rag is green and it was previously amber, so it's showing up, it's moved up. And then we've got the comment and we've got the path to green. And again, we've got this column here, include on the front, and I will come back to that. Let's go over to the third tab, the milestones tab. Okay. So this tab is an interesting looking one. It's quite visual. So you've got your milestones, and again, they could be projects, and you've got the owner, and you've got the rag and the trend, and these are just being fed through from the commentary tab over here. Now, I could have actually put all of those onto one tab, but it just makes for easier viewing, more visual viewing. Now, what we're doing here, if you look here, we've got the completion date for the milestone, and it's the 11th of June 2015. Apologies to colleagues in the States. I'm using the European convention, which is day, month, and year. Now, if you look, we've got it's a red rag, and it's at the 11th of June. And if you look here, that's what we've got plotted here. Now, how does that work? This is a formula. Well, you can have a look at this formula. It's got this diamond symbol there. It's using rept. I do explain it more in the how the formulas work, so I encourage you all to look at that. Now, I'll just give you a bit of a demonstration on this. So this is very dynamic. So this is a 6-month view of the timeline of a milestone, of plotting a milestone, and it depends on what we put in the start date here. So if I change this to, let's say if I change it to February, so if I do that, 1, 2, you can see everything is adjusted now. And when we put our completion date here, it will adjust and it will plot the milestone point out. I'll demonstrate this. So let's say if this did in fact complete on it was due to complete on, say, the 3rd of April. Look at that, it goes there. It's like magic. It's something which has been very popular and very useful in my own career, so really quite excited to be sharing it with all of you. Now, this tab here is just an explanation. I wrote this out. It tells you how the formulas work. Let's go over to the status update, which is the front page. Now we've got some familiarity with the 3 main tabs, the risks, issues, the commentary, and the milestones. Now this makes a little more sense to us. So what we've got here is we've got an area where we can provide some kind of overall commentary, and in this section here we can give some kind of overall rag, which is useful if it's a program or a project level report. Let's say we can just type our commentary in there, won't do anything. I've just got some dummy words in there, and then we can select from here a particular rag status. So I'll go with green overall. Okay, I want to demonstrate how these areas, the exceptions, the milestones, and the risks and issues are populated automatically by these 3 tabs. So what I'm going to do is to just split the screen, and it will make it a lot easier for us to see. So if I go to View, and then I create a new window, and then arrange all and go horizontal, okay. Excellent. So we've split the screen. I'm just going to press Control F1, and that will get rid of the ribbon so we can get a little bit more space, and then I will show you. So let's say if I go to the risks and issues tab, I'm just going to make this a little bit small. There we go. And I'm just going to scroll down to the risks and issues section here. So now I want to take you back to this column here, this highlighted column. Now what this does, if you see, it's called include on front. So what we can do is we've got space here for up to 4 risks or issues from this table. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to select yes from here. And what this does is it feeds that through automatically. There we go. We can pick whatever we want, and it will update that to the front page. Now this is the real value of this template, is in that all the work we do has to be done in these tabs, these 3 tabs, and we can just at the end feed it right through to the front. So let's have a look at the commentary section. So if I scroll back up, the commentary will feed through to exceptions. Now, exceptions typically means reds and ambers, so that's what I've done. But you don't have to call it exceptions. You can just say, okay, key commentary. So key things you want to pull the commentary through on. So it will pull the project owner, the rag trend, the comment, and the path to green. Again, it's going to be the exact same thing. So if we want to include this on the front page, so let's just select this one. Let's say, there we go. Look at that. It's carried that through to the front, and it's actually got the rag and trend there rather than the previous rag. So we've got two bits of information there. So we've got the actual rag, and we've got whether it was the trend tells us what it was previously. Let's get that one in there. Oh, excuse me, that one. And although it's not an exception technically, but let's pull this one through. It's a green though still. So there we go. So we are actually picking and choosing what we want to come through automatically. Finally, let's show you for the milestones as well. So again, let's just scroll down here so we can see this thing populating nicely. And the milestones are 10 options, but we can, if you know what you're doing, you can change this and it's not a problem at all. So there we go. Release the iPhone patch. Let's do this one here by Mr. Ron Swanson. Okay. Yes. And you can see this is disappearing. It's just because I've changed the magnification. It's actually optimized to run at a certain magnification. Again, this one. So you can see we can just populate to our heart's content. Here we go. Okay. Let's just remove the split screen and let's get that back up to scratch, and then you can kind of see it in all its glory. And now this is set to print, so this can print in A3 or A4, and it will be absolutely fine. And if you want to, you can hide these or you can expand them. If you want to have more, say, risks and issues, you can drag these formulas down more and play around with the space. The idea is that the bulk of it is going to be automatically fed through, the majority of it, and then the only thing left for the project manager or the PMO to do is to really fill in this commentary and complete this rag, and then just make sure that these three things are kept up to date, and that's it. And this is a very, very useful template. As I said, I've developed this over a number of years from being in the banking industry, and it's something that I use on many of my projects.